Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge in the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the 2021, the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Going to be going over my top plays. We are going to dive into the details into this field, and let's find those guys who are going to make us some cash this weekend. So let's do this. All right, real quick, if you missed the course preview, I'll just give a very high-level overview. Of course, they're at TPC Scottsdale, one of the older tournaments in Phoenix, Arizona. Looking at a par 71, a little over 7,200 yards. The only thing unique about this is there's only 3 par 5s, but there is 11 par 4s. So we're going to have to score there. There is water that comes into play on 6 holes. Looking at Bermuda mutts, that's just, it's not a true Bermuda, like a Florida Bermuda rough, or I'm sorry, green. We also have Bermuda rough and fairways. Player field is about 132. It's going to be the low 70s and ties, so pretty much half the field will make the cut, and the average cut line is around even. Lowest I've seen is 3 under in 2013, and your winning score somewhere around 17 to 18 under. Of course, it will be televised starting on Thursday to Sunday, and you will get 4 days of coverage if you've got PGA Live, or check out on Twitter at PGA Tour Live, and you can watch 90 minutes for free. I recommend that. It is pretty cool, or just to have it on in the background. And then the key stats that we are going to be looking at, I'll go into because they'll be on the model. I don't think we need to spend more time. And then last, of course, your previous winners. You had Simpson, who beat Finau in a playoff, and quite a few times this tournament has went to a playoff. You had Ricky Fowler the year before, Gary Woodland, and then Hideki, of course, who's won it twice. And what do those guys all do very well is they hit the long approach very well. So it is something, and, you know, and of course they had to putt and do other good things. But I think that's the one key thing that I'm going to be focusing on is the ball striking the guys that can hit the long approach as well. Okay. If you are new to me, first, thank you for checking me out. I think what you'll get and understand is I'm not probably the most entertaining guy that does this, but what I do is I dive into the details, as I've always said, kind of lift the hood, show you how the sausage is made. This will give you all kinds of information that you can leverage and make your own decisions. I will give you, of course, the guys that I like for top 10, top 20, top 30. That is the focus for this show, and it should take about 20 to 30 minutes max. And the first thing that I always do is I go over recent form, and I'm doing it just a little different. Usually what I do is I put my custom stat model, which is overlaid on this, and then give you the recent form for the past 24 rounds. I decided that I wanted to remove that and just look purely from a total strokes gain perspective, who's got the best recent form. And what does that mean? That means the guys that are hitting it best, tee to green, ball striking, short game, off the tee, approach, around the green, putty, and then they put in DK points. I'm not really so concerned with that, but it's more about just where's the guy swing at in the last 24 rounds they've played. And from that, what we'll do is, and I kind of go from there. I think for me, recent form is probably where I like to start to understand the guys that I want to play. You know, everybody can have an outlier bad round, but if you look over their past, 6 tournaments, 24 rounds, you're going to have a really good understanding of, who's hitting the ball well at this point and who's struggling a little bit with their game. And then from there, what I'm looking for is correlation. So I've got to run different models. This is all being driven and powered from Fantasy National. So again, I will state, if you like to do your own analysis or want to get a little more into this, I recommend to, go check Fantasy National out. You can get a discount on your membership if you use Mayo 20. I believe that still works. But if you go check Pat Mayo for that, you can. And I'm working on getting my own coupon code or discount code for you guys. Okay, enough on that. So I don't think there's really any shockers when you just look at recent form. Everybody here has been playing pretty well, so that kind of just shows and tells you a story. Then the guys that you see highlighted in green are the guys that popped up in multiple different areas. Now, they maybe didn't show up in every example model that I ran here, but they showed up enough, or there's something that's interesting about them that I will mention. All right, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so then the next thing I like to do is, of course, let's go look at the history at this event at TPC Scottsdale specifically.
As you will see here, again, I ran 24 rounds. I didn't want to pull up guys that, history from way back, but it is going to pull all their history up to 24 rounds. So, it is not dependent on how far this goes back, but you'll see there's different guys like Louis, who's only played here once. You got Max Homeless, played here twice. Nate Lashley, who actually had a 3rd place finish here. He came up. But anyways, this is just, and then the areas that I am looking at for this week, the key stat categories that I'm focusing on. I think you're going to need to have distance here because you're not going to be penalized if you don't hit the fairways. But I still, you always have a better shot of, reaching the par 5 and 2. You don't want to be way off track. So, of course, I do have fairways gain, but I have distance rated at 10% weight, fairways gain at 5. A big one that pops up from past success here is that you need to hit greens in regulation. So that's weighted at 15. Also good ball strikers, which we talked about when I was talking about the preview, which also incorporates the approach. The key proximity to the hole, so the distance that really shows up here is a lot of the shots are being hit from 150 to 175. So that's in there. You've got some long, maybe approaching par 5s or longer par 4s. So 200 plus was showing. I mentioned the 11 par 4s. So we have that in here. You got to make hay on your par 5s. You got to score on your par 5s here. And of course, scrambling popped up. And I'm guessing in my own kind of narrative with that is that, not a ton of trouble here. If the fairway, the roughs are not high, you don't have a ton of trees. So I would think guys will tend to hit the driver more here, which could tend to get you off the fairway. And so you're going to need to be able to scramble. These greens are larger than your average greens on tour, around 7,000 square feet. So 3-putt avoidance is going to be key. Of course, you're always going to need to putt. I also think because you need to score here, that we're looking for guys that don't bogey a lot and that do have opportunities to make birdie or better. So that's birdie or better there. And then who's actually converting birdies. Okay. And this is all history at this event. And it shows up, of course, you got Hideki, who's won here twice, so not a shocker. But Justin Thomas popped again, Harris English, Daniel Berger, Ryan Palmer. You got Webb Simpson, who's won here. I think Harris English is going to be an interesting play. I think some people got burned by him in the recent tournament. And but everything that I'm seeing that he looks like he's going to be a solid play. Again, nobody pops up really that kind of shocks me. So yeah, we'll keep moving forward. So I also mentioned in my previous show that there is going to be comp courses that I'm looking at. And simply when you put on filters that fit the course at TPC Scottsdale, these are the courses that show up. So when you turn on, firm greens, fast greens, Bermuda, between 72 and 7,400 yards. I turned off the par 71 just because I think we only were getting a course or two. So you always want a good sample size just to take a look at these guys at other venues that are very similar and just see how they done there. And it's just another checkpoint. And so what I got out of that was Sanderson Farms. You got CC of Jackson, where they play the Tour Championship. You got East Lake, the Valspar, Copperhead, Innsbruck. Of course, TPC Sawgrass, where they play the Players, which is coming up. And then the FedEx St. Jude at TPC Southland. Those were the courses that I found that I think are the best comparable. And so with that said, then, of course, I have laid down the my model, custom stat model on that. And again, some of the same names popping up as already mentioned. And, that was a kind of interesting. Nate Lashley could be a pretty good sleeper here. I watched him very closely when he won here in Detroit at the Rocket Mortgage. And that guy, when it comes to hitting irons, he's pretty amazing. And that course also, I think, is pretty similar. And what I mean by that is just, you can bomb it. There's not a lot of trouble. It's an older course, the Detroit Country Club, where it runs back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. So if you do hit it wayward, you're typically on another fairway and you can hit it back in. So anyways, I just think, Nate Lashley is someone that is kind of interesting to me. Yeah. So that's the guys that came up. So you just know from a comp course side where guys are rated. And then again, what I wanted to drill into just a little more is the elite ball strikers on these comparable courses. And again, you'll see Matsuyama is going to be popping up left and right. Ricky, they've had success here. Funny enough, Rory has not played here. This will be his first time at the event, but of course, has been playing a lot of golf over his career and has played at these other venues and done well. So somebody else to think about. Michael Thomas popped up quite a few times, and he's had pretty decent form. Yeah, so again, just kind of highlighting that area. And then the last thing I want to look at was who's some of the best Bermuda putters. So then I just turned on all the rounds they've ever played on Bermuda greens. You'll see this over here listed, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to the 20th. And that's all these are top 20 guys. I'm not going to go through all of them, but, just let's pull the top sample and see who keeps popping up. You got Max Homa popping up again, which is kind of funny. Max, some of these guys, when you look at their splits, they are very heavy positive Bermuda, like Brian Gay. He just won the Bermuda, of course. The Bermuda Brian, they call him. Sam Burns is a really good Bermuda putter. But all these guys are positive when it comes to Bermuda. Some more than others, like Matt Kuchar, loves Bermuda, again, from his splits. But his form's been a little yeah. So, again, you get to take a look at and see, who does well putting on Bermuda. Some other guys I just actually wrote down a list, and I'll just share those with you because they're not on here. You got like Steve Stricker, Luke Donald, Austin Cook, Hunter Mahan, Willie McGirt, funny enough, was one that was heavy. Pat Perez, who's had, I think, some decent past history here. JT posted, which he does show up there. Hendrik Norlander. Also, he had a decent, of course, finish at the Farmers, and he is a positive Bermuda putter. I don't know if I think that was about it, but I just wanted to point out that also wasn't on there. Okay. Now, the next thing I think is always good. Of course, we're in Arizona. We're not in California anymore. And I always like to look at the locals. So guys that either played at Arizona State or live locally. And there's quite a few, but these are the guys that are actually in the tournament. Of course, it'd be nice if Paul Casey was here. I think he'd be actually a great fit. Had a ton of success at the Valspar, won that back-to-back. He just won recently over in Europe and lives in Arizona, but for whatever reason, he is not playing this event. But here are some locals that are. So you've got Party Marty Laird. You got Sabatini, who has been doing well, and I'm going to talk briefly about him a little bit later on, but Rory Sabatini lives in the area. You've got Ches Reavie, who has done pretty decent at this tournament as a local guy, but his form has just not been on. Of course, you got John Rahm, who lives here now, and I think he's going to be very live here to have a great weekend. And then you got Kevin Streelman. And then I call this almost the B squad of the Arizona guys, but they are playing in the tournament, and I just want you to be aware of it. You got James Hahn. You got Brandon Nagy, who, just showed pretty good form. I think he led, day 2 of the Farmers, or was definitely up there. You got Joel Damon, which you might not recognize without the floppy hat. You got Aaron Badley, which is always a good play for Showdown. That guy can get hot with the putter, but other than that, he's, a very volatile play. And then you got Andrew Putnam, who's also here. And, so just some thoughts, and why I bring this up is if you're in between trying to figure out someone, what I've always noticed is the guys that will come out of nowhere are typically local. And then you'll find that out later, like, oh yeah, he's played this course 1,000 times. He loves it. He's terrible everywhere else, but for whatever reason, when he plays TPC Scottsdale, he just kills it, whatever it is. So that's why I always, if there is a local setting that could help, that's why, of course, Webb Simpson at Wyndham, the guy lives there. So anyways, all right. With that said, let's go into, so I've got 15 guys, and then what I'm going to do after we go through these guys, I will show you where I'm putting them from a top 10, top 20, top 30 perspective. And we're going to start out just, John Rahm was the first one that popped up. Of course, you can see here he's at a little over 11,000. Projected ownership pretty heavy right now. What I'm looking for is guys from the approach side, of course, the putting. Recent results, a lot of 7th place. That's got to be good luck, right? 777. But, great recent form. And he's had good history here, Worst place was the 16th back in 2017. So everything is solid on there. And then if we click on ROM and just look at some further information. So funny enough, Bermuda, as you see, is just a neutral putting surface for him. But of course, stroke gain is on the way up. Everything's green. There's really not much to say there. And then if we just go look, we already looked at his background here at Waste Management, but the other ones, as I mentioned, so Sanderson Farms, he has never played in, but we can look at the Tour Championship. Of course, he's done well there, a 7th, a 4th, a 7th. If we look at Valspar, played there in 2019, had a 6th place. And I think the last was WGC St. Jude. His best finish was a 7th, but again, I think a good comp course. So that's John. I don't think that's a shocker. I think, a lot of people are going to be on him. And that's, I'm not here to, try to pick the shocker picks. What I'm here to do is tell you the guys that I think are going to do well and why. All right, Xander. So he's just a little less, 16, almost the same projected ownership. Putting out of this field, he is ranked 1. This is on stroke gain analysis. What you're seeing here, too, is I put, because I said one of the most important things was green and reg. So this kind of shows you where these guys fall. And then the difficulty by hitting the fairway, which I would put this, hitting the fairways here, I'd just say average. It's not difficult like it was at Torrey, but I wouldn't say it's super easy. They're not huge wide fairways. So again, good history here. Top 17 or better over the last 3 years. Recent form's been, impeccable, and he had that good showing at his home course at the Farmer, so that was good to see. And we click on Mr. Schauffele. Again, just like Rom, Bermuda is not his best putting surface by his splits, but, you can hold that as, I've seen guys that have had terrible splits and then go out and win a tournament, just lights up the green, they just start falling in, so that can happen. So I wouldn't hold the splits that heavy, but, it's always something interesting to look at. Again, all green from a stroke gain. And then again, if we go look at some history at the comp courses, so at Sanderson Farms, played there, but it was back in 2016 at a 5th. We look at the Tour Championship. We already know that, of course, he should have won. Technically, if you take away Dustin Johnson's, 10-stroke advantage, whatever it was, he would have won straight out. But he's done really well at East Lake is the short of it. So, again, a great comp course, I think. The Valspar, never played at the Valspar. The Players, miscut 2019 second, and 2018, of course, last year we only got 1 round at the Players, so we don't get to look a whole lot into that. WGC St. Jude, 6th place last year, so he's done well there. All right. That is Mr. Schauffele. Let's go to the next guy, Webb Simpson. Again, there was a little downturn like the RSM where he should have done well there. That was a good course fit for him, but it is what it is. But he's coming off a T4 at the Sony. Of course, he won here last year, had a second in 2017, but he did have a cut in 2018. So as in golf is, the variance that is, anything can happen. And let's just go look at some other courses. So Bermuda is a very strong surface for him. Of course, his stroke gain is on the way up. He's all green in all the categories over his whole life of playing golf on the PGA. And we go look at Sanderson. He doesn't like that course either. Tour Championship. Let me put it a little more so we get. Of course, he's done well there at a 12th this previous year, but it's had some 4th and 5th. So he's done well on that track at East Lake. And then we got Valspar. Missed a cut in 2019, but I had an 8th and a 41st. And a couple other miscuts there. So we'll call that kind of just neutral. The Players won in 2018. That was I think it was one of his biggest wins, first big wins. At a 16th, so he's done well there. And WGC St. Jude had a second in 2019, a 12th. And so, again, good course fit. Pretty much anytime you put Webb on a shorter course, Bermuda, he's going to be live. I guess that's the simplest way to look at that. Daniel Berger, again, a great approach guy. Tournament history, he's had a 9th, 11th, and a 7th. He did have a cut in 2017. And at the Sony, he's coming off a 7th and a 10th. So pretty good recent form to, everything here. We'll just say almost top 25 or better. And if we go take a look at Daniel Berger real quick, and Bermuda is his second best surface. I mean, he's not gaining a ton against the field on that. But stroke gain is all solid. You can see around the green is kind of his only blemish over his career. And if we go and let's just go see some of the comp courses. So he hasn't played Sanderson Farm since 2014, so I wouldn't even really consider anything with that. Tour Championship, likes 15th place. So 12th, 15th, 15th, 15th. So it's done well there. And again, you got to remember that's out of a field of 30 some. I'm trying to remember the exact number now. Is there a 40 or 38 or something like that? Where was I at? Valspar. So he missed the cut in 2017, but had 11th 2016. Again, it's a ways back. Did we already pull the players up? No. So not a huge, except for that 9th place in 2016, then he hasn't done so well at the players. So that's kind of interesting. Note to self with that coming up. But has a 2nd place last year at the WGC St. Jude. So again, from a comp course perspective, looks pretty solid. I like him this week. Sanjay M, always solid. I mean, you had Sanjay, of course, at the Farmers. It looked like he was going to make a run and give Patrick a run at the end there. I think he shot like 500-600 in the first 9, and then like literally shot 6-7 over on the back 9. It was kind of sad to see, and I was watching him closely because I had him in Showdown and was pretty excited there for a moment, and then it just kind of went south. So recently he's coming up a T32, and I'd be curious. Right now it says his projected ownership is 13%. I'll be curious how many people actually push the Sanjay button, just because of, if you were watching that he had a kind of a rough back 9. And his tournament history here is not, perfect by any stretch. He had a 7th and a 34th. But what I liked about Sanjay was he likes Bermuda. And the one thing, I'm never worried. He hits that baby fade cut off the tee. So he's always, he's pretty much always in the fairway. Good iron, good long iron player. But what I have noticed is he has struggled with the putter when he does struggle. And around the green is not the best. But you can see here when he had that 56 at Sony, lost 2.3. Even at the Tournament of Champions, lost 3 strokes. I think this is the one where he was missing 2 or 3 footers left and right at the Zozo, and I had him. I was just kind of pulling my hair out. But anyways, let's go look at some other comp tracks. So Sanderson Farms, good showing there. 2nd 2019 at 28th. All right, let's see the Tour Championship. 11th and a 19th, so good there. See Valspar. He had a 4th. One thing about this guy is probably not going to type in a tournament that he has not played. So he only played in the Players once and missed a cut. That is what it is. Tougher field. It is a tough track. WGC, St. Jude. He had a 35th last year. So, okay. But I think I like Sanjay and Harris English. So I like Harris. I'm also curious because of that cut at the Farmers. He won that. Where was it? So TOC. Just a second here. I'm just curious why that's coming up that way. Yeah. So he won the Tournament of Champions. Okay, I'm sorry. I was thinking that they were trying to say that was the Tour Championship. My bad. So, of course, he had the win there, and then he's kind of faltered a little bit, which, can definitely happen. But I see no reason why Harris cannot do well here. He's had a couple cuts. He's had a 3rd and a 16th and a 57th. And his projected ownership right now is at 8%. And I think he's a nice pivot off maybe some of the other guys in that range. Like I said, I think some guys are going to get off him. But he does the things that I like very well. And if we go back and we go look at some of the comp courses, so we look at Sanderson, he had a 6th place there in 2019. The Tour Championship, he was 12th this recent year. The Valspar, kind of mixed reviews. Had a 54th recently and had a 10th a while back. The Players, he really doesn't do well at the Players. So again, note to self there. WGC St. Jude, which I guess used to be the Bridgestone. So that's a tough track. But nothing comes up on there. So anyways, just someone to think about. I'm going to be plugging him in. Again, loves Bermuda. Is a great Bermuda putter. And as you see, if it gets a little windy out, which not that there's any discussions of weather right now, something to think about. Ryan Palmer. Plain and simple, Ryan's just been playing great, probably above his pay grade. It's a little hard to pay $9,200 for Ryan Palmer, but he just keeps producing, and the guy will get you some points. He does have birdie streaks. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second. But his recent history here has not been the greatest, so that might get some people off him. Why I like Ryan. Let's jump into. So as you see, where Ryan typically falters is with the putter, but Bermuda is his best surface. He does gain. As you also see, his putter's he's found something or it's heating up. And as you can see, there's a bit of red under the putting area. So what I was talking about. But yeah, great form coming in. And let's take a look at Sanderson. No. Tour Championship. He's had a 7th. That was a while ago, but a 24th recently. But again, that's out of a smaller field that I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head now. Valspar, a 28th to 42nd. Let's see the players. 5th is his best, but that's a while ago. He missed a cut, the most recent, but had 23rd the year before. And last but not least, WGC St. Jude. He had a 15th last year there. So that's good. I like to see that. Okay. So Ryan is someone, of course, that I will be sticking with. Willsey, I'm not going to go because he has no tournament history. I mean, we could look at recent form. He's at a 5th at Shriners, which, and just from a visual, I think of the Vegas course Shriners, kind of similar. It reminds me of TPC Scottsdale. That is, nothing. But, of course, he's also had a T16 at Bermuda, which is Bermuda greens, but there's just not, he's played in none of the tournaments that I would pull up. And again, if you look at his putting, negative everywhere, but just watching the guy in his game, as you see, he's all green here. Where he will struggle is with the putter and around the green. But you saw he gained 3 strokes last week. Positive here. We don't know, of course, at OHL Bermuda exactly what he did, but I just like him. I like him as a play. I don't like the price tag, but he's been expensive since day one. And again, projected ownership 15, and he produces points. The guy can get streaky hot. So I like Will Z. A little probably off the cuff because I have been fading Koepka the last 2 tournaments. But he has and this is not the only reason why I'm going to play him, but he has one here in the past. And you can see, I just think it's a good time to buy in. Remember, this is Brooks Koepka, major winner, elite. And we know that I think he's probably getting to that point where missing cuts is getting a little old. I'm thinking he's going to want to come out and do well. And I'm not saying he doesn't try to do well at other places, but one of the other factors that I like and what's been struggling a little bit is that he loves putting on Bermuda. And I also, if we look at, it was something else. So it wasn't Sanderson. See the Tour Championship. So, of course, he had a 3rd there in 2019. Didn't make it this year. Let's see the Valspar. No, nothing there. Oh, okay, St. Jude. All right, so if you look at his run at WC St. Jude, which I think is also a really good comp course, a 2nd, a 1st, a 5th, a 6th. I would, I just think it's a great spot for him. And I think ownership's down, right now less than 10%. And for 8,800, you're getting a Brooks Koepka. I mean, look at, you're paying Will Z. You're paying more for Ryan Palmer. Would you ever have guessed that all these guys above him, over a year ago, even when he started to make, when he had the Houston Open, the Masters tournament, he says he's feeling 100%. I'm just hoping that he's pissed off. I mean, I think he's better when he's pissed off and wants to actually go out and do something. So we'll see, but I'm going to be playing him. And a lot of it's due to ownership and cost. You're buying a really good stock at a very low price. So that's that. All right, Billy Ho. Done well here. He's never missed a cut, at least since 2016. And this doesn't show all the way back. We'd have to pull that up. But he's had a recent, cut at the Farmer. So, again, this is kind of I think people are going to be off him a bit. Also, why I like Billy Ho is he likes Bermuda. He has been positive. And then if we go look at some of the comps, let's see, the Tour Championship. He had a 30th recently. He had a second in 2018. Let's see, the Valspar. Doesn't like playing the Valspar. Missed a couple of times. Let's see, WG St. Jude. So he had a 25th there last year and a 9th for previous. So I think it's a good spot for Billy Ho. And I don't usually tout a lot of Billy Horschel, but I am on this week. Who else are we talking about? Russ Henley. This is one of those guys, I don't know. Like I've been just waiting and waiting for him to win a tournament here. And I just think, this is a great spot again. He's ranked #1 in approach. So again, back to the long irons. Tee to green, elite. Typically it's the putter. But the good news is that Russ, his best surface, almost gaining, well, we'll call it almost a half stroke on the field when he putts on Bermuda. If you think about when he plays, average difficulty, that's this, no wind, does well. I see everything setting up for him to do well here. So I'm back on Russ. Good showing at Sanderson Farms. Look at the Tour Championship. He had a 3rd in 2017. The Valspar had a 9th back in 2017. The Players missed a cut the last couple times. Best was a 17th, but that's a while back, a 35th, more recent. And let's just look at W. St. Jude. Again, I'm pretty sure. I just want to verify this. So is that Firestone? So we can't count that. Bridgestone. Firestone's a tough track. Not the same course. So that's not a comp course. All right. For the Bridgestone, we can use St. Jude. All right, here we go. So Russ Henley is another one I am high on. Benoit Ann. Probably never heard me talk about Benoit Ann, but this guy, he is super streak. That's what they should call him. Super streaky guy. And right now he's doing pretty well. That 8th, maybe I said this, not so much, but I did like the 8th at the Amex. He has a good course history here, so it's another reason. From a putting side, the guy just is not a great putter, but, you see Bermuda, it's kind of whatever, and you can see just his history. That's where he struggles. Really good ball striker, great tee to green. You could put him there with, Siwoo Kim. You can put him there with Luke List. Really good around the green, too. But, yeah, just when he puts it together. So let's take a look at it. So the BMW FedEx Cup event had a 12th. Did everything very well, just the putter. Let's see. Again, this is probably another reason if you look at it, one of the comp courses, and he actually gained on putting, which you see is a rarity for him, that he gained strokes putting. Of course, that 8th at the Amex, he gained a stroke against the field. 4 strokes there at the PGA. I'm just curious. Yes, Sanderson Farms. So again, on Bermuda, that's the other comp course. So let's do that while we're talking about it. So yeah, that 3rd back in 2019. So there you go. From previous year to that year, gained 12 strokes, lost 5 strokes. A lot of it was the putter. Lost 6 strokes this year, gained 4 the previous. Streaky he is. The Tour Championship. Nothing to really talk about there. Valspar. Miscut and a 49th. And the Players. Had a 26 in 2019. And then we already saw that he had a positive at the WG St. Jude, a 12th recently, and then go back a little bit. But he's made the cut every time there. So, yep, not typical that I'm on Benoit Ann, but I like him to place. And again, all these guys, top 30 finish or better, and then I'll go through, and more finite of where I think they're going to finish. Sabatini, it's been a good run, and I've always said, watch out for the guys. I don't think Rory has ever won. Let me think about this. I always get him and Louis mixed up. Take that back. I think Louis never won on American Soil. Rory has won on American. Well, we'll check it out. But he's, you know, I see a 12th, a 12th, a 10th. Yeah, he's got a missed cut in there. Those are the guys. I'll say this, I'll say it again, and that all of a sudden just boom, you know, win a tournament, and people are like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Well, you know, they didn't really look close enough. He's just been solid, and we already know that he's had a good at waste management. Well, he's actually missed a cut, so that's good for me. You know, he's missed a cut the last couple times at the waste management. But if we look at Sanderson, he's done very well there at Sanderson Farms. Great comp course. Tour Championship. He's never made it to the Tour Championship. Let's look at Valspar. So he's done well at Valspar. I mean, it go, you know, 2019 at 18th, 2018 at a 5th. Only missed a cut once there. The Players, it's got a good track history there. If you just look at the last few years. And then let's look at WG St. Jude. Never played. Okay. Anyways, like Rory, and I told you I'd talk a little bit about him. He is going to be on my birdie consecutive streak conversation, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Party Marty Laird. Don't usually put him in a top 30 conversation, but his tournament history here has been, you know, pretty solid. And again, for the price, $7K, projected ownership. He does have a few cuts here. Of course, he also had that recent win. That was, I'm blanking off the top of my head. So that was at the Shriners. Let's just click on that. So that's bent, but par 71. Green firmness medium. So some similarities. Difference is just greens. And let's go. Yep, he is positive on Bermuda. Take a look at Sanderson Farms. Best finish was a 7th. He had a Tour Championship. Never made it. The Valspar. Now 3 out of 4 has missed the cut, but those were a little bit ago. The Players. That's a while back, but he has some top 5s, but missed cut recently. And then lastly, WGC St. Jude. That doesn't count because that, as we already know, is on Bridgestone. Okay, but I do like Party Marty. And again, he's a local, so make that out what you may. My last is Harry Higgs. And again, I'm doing this because I think these are the guys that can also get into a top 30 or, you know, do these as my sleepers. But I think this guy, so, you know, he played here last year, had a 25th. He's had decent form. Of course, his best finish, I think, was it Safeway recently. So, yeah, he had that second place at the Safeway. But he does gain it on Bermuda, and I've heard him in his caddy talk that the putter is really, again, where, you know, he will, if it gets hot in the driver, so it's off the tee is hot, he gets hot. So Sanderson Farms, he missed a cut in 2019. I don't believe we're going to have a lot of information on some of these tournaments for Mr. Harry. Now, let's see. I don't know if he's ever played the Players. Nope. What about WGCC? So like Will Z, don't have a lot on him from, you know, comp course history, but we know he's done pretty well here. He's played here once. I like his game for here, and I'm just feeling some Harry Higgs. Okay, enough on that, and let's get into where these guys I think are going to fit. So I think Schauffele, Simpson, Rahm, Koepka, and Harris English are my guys to make a top 10 or better. Also, one of these guys could, of course, definitely win the tournament. I don't think there's any, I'd say out of all of them, Koepka would probably be the most volatile, you know, kind of shocking pick for that. But I really think he's going to come out and show people some things. I think he's tired of just being blah. From a top 20, I like Rory, Sungjae M. I already said Will Zalatoris, Russ Henley, and Daniel Berger. Again, none of these except maybe Rory Sabatini might be someone that you'd be like, oh, you know, okay. Top 30, I like Party Marty. I like Billy Ho, Ryan Palmer, Benoit Ann, and Harry Higgs to round it off. So that is my top plays. And then just a side note, I did put out a video last week, and something that I just want you guys to be aware of, to check out the Birdie Streak bonus players. These are the guys since the Safeway, so the first tournament of the year, and I've tracked it out. The information in the video is all the way up to the Amex. I actually did just add the Birdie Streaks into the format. I just haven't recreated a new video. But in short, not a whole lot changed. Ryan Palmer and Sabatini are leading that from a chance perspective of getting that consecutive birdie streak. And again, what this is what I did is I looked through every round of these guys and found the guys that are consistently getting the birdie streak bonus. I think this is imperative for two reasons. One is if you play Showdown, that's huge. You get a couple of those guys, you're going to probably win your Showdown. And the second part of it is, what I also found amazing is 99 point, actually, again, this tournament, if they have one streak of 3 birdies or more in any round, they make the cut. And I only found one guy so far this whole year, 2021 season, that actually did get 3 birdies in a row and didn't make the cut. So something to look at. It's a pretty quick video, but it goes into more details, and I'll give you, it's the top, I think, 35 guys, just so you know. And again, from it's good to know from a classic standpoint, but I think a little more for Showdown. And that's it. I appreciate your guys' time. I hope that's helpful. I hope you got some good thoughts or some of your own ideas. If you are, of course, new to this, again, if you'd subscribe, I'd appreciate it. I'm doing this because I enjoy it, and I want other people to have some different inside information, or at least perspective from me than just, kind of walking through the tiers and saying, hey, this guy, that guy, this guy. So please click the like if you like it. If you don't, tell me how I can make it better. Share it with anybody else that you think will get help or value out of this. And if you have any questions or comments, you can either hit me up on YouTube, leave a comment. I do check it daily, or on DFS Golf Guru at the Twitter sphere. Any questions regarding betting, or if you're in between a couple guys, I'll give you my advice. And that's it. So all the best of luck to us. And I will put out my sleepers, fades, and projections tomorrow. And that's it. So let's go kick some butt on the old waste management. Thanks, guys. Take care.